Welcome. This is Carol Butler, and I'm not doing a live show because I wanted to get through this succinctly. I watched a presentation today that blew me away, gave me an understanding of something about COVID-19 that we need to know, and now I get it. Why, when people are saying they're wearing a mask and socially distanced, why they're still getting sick. So I'm going to give you a very short presentation, or I'll try and make it short, so that you can be better informed about this pandemic. And I feel very strongly that you need to know this, and you need to know it now. We should have all known this months ago, but now I'm going to share it with you because I know it now. And this is kind of scary. We had 250,000, we're over that number of deaths in America. If anyone was killing over 1,000 people a day, if someone was bombing us, and suffocating thousands of people every week, we would fight. We would come together. Why haven't we over this? I personally don't understand that. But we're at the point that it is beyond containment. We had a window. We had a window 4 or 5 months ago. We had one in the last couple of months. And we didn't do what we needed to do. And here we are with family members dying, with people that we know, with people that we work with our friends. There is no real immunity to COVID-19. So much of the information I'm going to be sharing, and I will thank publicly Greg Braden. This is sort of an encapsulation of what he shared, or what I found that he shared today. But we're thinking, oh, well, in a couple of months we'll have, the vaccine, we'll get vaccinations. Not really. It took 2,000 years of flu, because we're adaptable, for us to have any immune system response that would allow us to live with flu. We've had so many pandemics, from smallpox, from rubella, and they followed a course. This one is not following the typical pandemic course, and we can do something about it. But there's no white horse that's going to ride in. I thought it was interesting to start with, and thank you, Greg Braden. Why do we call it COVID-19? We call it COVID-19 because it appeared in the year 2019, and it is a virus. It's not bacteria. So viruses can't be treated with antibiotics. You can't treat it with anything. It's got to be something that stops it from invading us, and this is what I'm calling it. It's a parasite. It's not alive. It's not something living. It's not, as Greg Barden said, it's not going to hunt us down. It's something that needs a host. And it's very scary how it works and how it kills us. We've all seen the pictures of it. Round, it's got little spikes all over it. And what it does, it injects, all those little spikes go to receptors on what is alive, our cells. And they inject their RNA, basically, but let's call it DNA, into our living cell. And then they destroy it. And guess what our cells are doing? They're dividing. And as it's destroy, divide, spread. Destroy, divide, spread. And that is why it's killing us. And so the question is, what's the mortality, death rate for different age groups? I don't want to talk about who's getting it. That becomes it just makes the percentage bigger when you look at who is getting it, who is dying from it. And my hands are so cold, my fingers aren't working on my slide presentation. Thus far, to my knowledge, and Greg Barden's, no one has died under 9 years old. Age 10 to 29, you're at a 0.2% chance of dying. You get to 50, 59, it's 1.3%. Once you hit 60 to 69, you have a 3.6% chance of death. If you're age 70 to 79, it jumps to 8%. Anybody got a grandmother, a mother, an older relative in that age group? Why do you think we're talking about Thanksgiving and not getting together? You could kill these people. They don't have the response. And as Greg Barden said, and I found this very interesting, he said, I'm not sure it's because you're older and your immune system is shot. I think that there's some very strong people out there with it because they have eaten a good, eaten well most of their lives. They've exercised and they've done things, lived a healthy life nutritionally and exercise wise, that their immune system could be equivalent to someone maybe in their 50s. But we're living with the broader perspective and the higher numbers. But 70 to 79, you have an 8% chance of dying if you're exposed to this horrible plague. And if you're over 80 or over, look at that 14.4%. So the question, which I just answered, how does it kill us? We pick it up from air particles if you're not wearing a mask. Someone can cough in Walmart, okay, or sneeze, and they pull their mask down and they don't, I don't know why, you're supposed to keep the mask on if you sneeze, but we used to cough, we were told to cough into our elbow. It's just a matter of respect. So I don't see what the big difference is in it being a mask. But someone's, let's say, is a friend you invited over for Thanksgiving, and you feel safe because they were taking precautions, and they are washing their hands, and you're keeping that magical, and it's not magical, 6 feet away. But someone coughs, you're looking at droplets, you're looking at things on the surface. And I loved Greg Barden's, and I will mention him throughout this because this is his information. And he did it a lot better, but I'm being a lot shorter. He had a friend. They went out to dinner. They had chips and salsa. And he went to the bathroom. And he washed his hands, and he came back. And he picked up a chip. And he went, I think I'll shake a little bit of salt. And let me get some of this hot sauce in here. And add a little ketchup and maybe a little mustard. And stir it up. And then he dipped, and Greg stopped him and said, hey, you didn't wash your hands. He said, I just came from the restroom. I did. Yes, but look what you just handled. You handled the salt shaker. Yeah, who's thought of that? You handled that bottle of ketchup. You handled that sauce thing. How many people touched that before you came in? And let's say the restaurant's being very good. In between everyone eating, they can't possibly wipe every bottle salt shaker down between tables. They just can't. And so that's how you get it. It can live on stainless steel, 2 to 3 days. They think it can live, meaning remain, because live is really not an appropriate word. It's not an alive thing. It's not a living thing. It's a virus. But it can sit there for over 3 days, they think, on cardboard. So, I don't know, you pick up Chinese food, you get Mexican food, you get takeout from anybody. I mean, I'm not picking on any of those people. Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes, wherever you get takeout. Think of the cardboard if it's staying on that, but we call it living on that. It can stay on a surface for over 3 days. And you put your elbow down, you put your pocketbook in a chair, you put it on the floor, and you come home and you don't wash it. Or worse, no one has really addressed this that I'm aware of on TV, where you come home and you take your mask off. And some people are reusing it. Well, the mask, the front part of it, is what has maybe things Covid-19 has adhered to. Now you've got it on your hands. And then later that afternoon, you don't want to waste the mask, right? You use that same mask and you put it on and your hands have been contaminated and probably your face. Throw the mask away if it's paper or wash it. You can only wear it once. And if you take it off in the car and then later put it on because you're going to another store and wanted to breathe in between, that's not good. All right. So if you haven't heard it, you heard it from me now. So what measures can we take besides being aware of how you get it and how it works and knowing you can't stop it? But there are things that you can do, and I'm going to help you. And again, this is because we haven't done this well. We haven't worn a mask. In fact, we're fighting like it's some political statement. It's an American thing. It's the only reason this country, unlike every country in the world, no one has come close to our mortality rate. No one. Because they were compliant. They didn't want to die. They loved their mother and father and their children. It wasn't a hoax. And unfortunately, we have the President of the United States hiding in, they call it a bunker, not wearing a mask. And he got it, but he got all the best medicines in the world that we can't begin to give even to our first responders right now. So everyone thinks, well, he didn't die. So you're jumping to conclusions. You're not the president. And shame on him for not sharing this information with you. Shame on him. And shame on him for not allowing a transition while I'm at it, because that's killing more people. Every day we delay. But the information I learned today, how do we get it? It's so simple. So what are we going to do about it? Since we're not doing those three things, you need to do those three things. It's up to us at this moment, before we get the vaccine, the vaccinations out, because that's going to be April or May for most of us. It's going to be April or May. So I don't know you, I can count. Let's forget November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 6 months from now. I don't want to die in the next 6 months because I didn't know something, because I wasn't doing something. I don't want my friends to die. I don't want you to die. I don't want anybody to die. I want it to stop. And it is totally up to us at this point, because it is not contained. It is out there and it's everywhere you go. And the mask and the socially distancing, the washing your hands. You know, I posted a picture of being intubated and how horrible that is. So which is easier, wearing the mask or being intubated? So here's how we can, I gave you the salt shaker example, take care of our bodies and our exposure. But we have to do it. You're responsible. The government's not going to be able to take care of you until April or May. They've told you what to do. You've either done it or you haven't, and you need to start today. Start covering a cough if you're in your own house. Get some sleep. I struggle with that. Who can sleep with it? And move. I don't know many people, I don't know many people that like exercising, but when you're depressed and you're stressed, moving helps. It helps you sleep. Moving just makes you healthier. So walking is a good idea. Walk outside in the fresh air. Walk in a park. Walk and be near nature. It will help. It will make your body stronger, and it will keep you from being stressed, which is one of the worst things, and I'll get to that in a minute. And eat the good food. Don't snack out on the potato chips. And hey, I've eliminated the potato chips. You can too. And take the supplements that support your body. I did something today, and I feel like if I do one thing every day that helps, I'll use the word optimize my physical, emotional, and mental health. I bought some black elderberry. It has some things that help protect and build your body, some antioxidants. And it's very concentrated, and you don't need a lot. I had the choice of buying non-local or local, and I wanted local. And I will be trying it today. It's something like 1 teaspoon or tablespoon a day. I haven't read the instructions because I just got back. So I want you to consider that. We need to look into some antiviral mushrooms. These are all things you're going to have to look up for yourself. Okay. Traditional Chinese medicine has a lot of herbs that can help you become stronger and build your immune system. And making an effort to control stress, I think I shared on another show what I'm doing to sleep, and it also controls stress. How you breathe. Most of us are shallow breathers. We don't take in a deep breath where you're feeling your lungs and your belly. And I don't know that you have to exhale it through your mouth. I think it's okay if you're more comfortable when you take a deep breath to let it go out your nose. I just think they've always said take it in through your nose and maybe because it goes faster. But I think you're supposed to exhale it slower and count to 7 or 8, letting that air out, and you'll find it relaxes your shoulders. So just some simple breathing exercises can help you control stress. And all this is about caring about yourself and respecting others. And that's how we're going to survive. We got 6 months to survive on our own. That's basically what I'm talking about, why I'm on today, why I didn't wait to go live. We have to survive ourselves. And the government can't break your arm. They can, however, shut down restaurants. They can bring your children home from school because they're going to kill each other because they're going to bring it home to you and you're going to die. And no one's really emphasizing this, but when I look at 250,000 deaths in my lifetime, nothing has ever been this dramatic. And yet we're protesting wearing a mask. And the president, who swore an oath to protect this country, is doing anything but. It's embarrassing. But worse, it's killing us. It's killing us. We're in survival mode. And I feel like if I had not done this, I've done everything I can think of to protect my animals even, myself, my friends, strangers. I don't want to be responsible for someone dying like the president is right now. And frankly, I'm starting to look at the Republicans a little cross-eyed because they're delaying the opportunity for us to get the vaccination. They've got the vaccine. And the first people that are going to get it, deservedly so, are first responders. You know how many first responders have died and nurses? One nurse was on CNN last night talking about how she has been on the front line since February and hasn't been tested for COVID-19 yet. And she was in tears. She doesn't have the protected outerwear to keep it from attaching to her clothes, where she gets home and maybe she shakes it on the floor, and maybe she sits on the floor, maybe her dog gets on the floor and tracks it over to her. And no one knows it's coming, its own surfaces, it's in the air in droplets. And I'm trying to scare you a little bit. It is extraordinarily scary. I mean, I don't want to die that way. I don't want to have anyone I know suffocate to death. So I really thought you needed to know this today. I'm going to go back to full view of me. I'm back. Please look after yourself. Please look after your neighbor. Please be considerate. It is not a hoax. If you think the deaths of over 250,000 people, of 1,000 a day, I mean, good grief, if someone was flying a plane over and bombing people in South Carolina and 1,000 were dying a day, what do you think we would do? We would come together and we would stop it. So I'm angry. I'm really angry at the people that their hands are tied. Biden and Harris's hands are tied. They're doing the best they can without the support of our government, the people we pay taxes to govern us, to look after us, to make sure we're safe from foreign invasions. Well, what do you think this is? It's like the body snatchers. We're being invaded by, right now, an out-of-control virus, which will and could, and no one's saying this, it could, if we don't respond appropriately, kill the human race. No one's saying that. So if I sound like an alarmist, I am. We have to do it ourselves for at least 6 months and hope that the vaccine turns into a vaccination that stops this deadliness. But we'll never be back to normal. I don't think that's ever going to happen. This has been released into the wild, and apparently we didn't heed the initial wash your hands, wear a mask, but I do think they should have been a little bit more in your face with it when we knew. But there was a delay because of our president. We didn't know. He knew January how terrible it would be. But February, March, it wasn't until the end of March that the country started to comprehend how murderous this virus is. So I am playing the bad guy as the good guy to tell you, you should be shaken. You should be scared. And the way to protect yourself is to build your immune system. Wear the mask. Wear the mask. And wash your hands at every opportunity. I'd rather do that. I'd rather miss my friends this year than kill them. Accidentally, of course. It's always an accident. Or I'd like to think it was, unless you blatantly party without a mask and think you're immune because you're in that age group that so few of you are dying. Does that make you superior? Because your group isn't dying? They can and they have. Children do die. And older people, I'm in that age group. But I think it's just maddening to watch people not care about others. It's one thing if your irresponsibility of not washing your hands and being thoughtful of others is one thing, but once you start to kill me because of that, once you start killing people I know because you're irresponsible, then you're stepping over my rights to live. I have a right to live, and so does my neighbor, and so do you. You have a right to expect other people to respect you. Let's begin by respecting ourselves and get out of this survival mode. But let me tell you something. We got 6 more months of this. Do the right thing. That's all it is. Do the right thing. So this has been Carol Butler. Watch the news tonight.